it would be great if you were to do the shout out again at the end. I missed part of it and I wanted to hear. So I wanted to hear, who did you shout for? And like. All right.
I definitely will do so at the end.
Please do. Thank you, everybody. Welcome. We are going to go a little bit shorter today. It's technical, so we're going to focus only on one aspect of the things that we've previously touched on. But before we do that, you know how it goes. We first have to look at the markets. We definitely have to look at the market, even though you might feel like it's a repetition, but no, it is deliberate so that you can understand how the market works, so that you can understand and be able to analyze it yourself on your own, at your own time, up until it gets to the place where when you hear property, you're already starting to think, what's the market? How does it look like? Whose market is it? Is it a good time to buy, to sell? Is it a buyer's, seller's market? Up until you get to that place, because I want everyone that listens and watches our webinars on YouTube or follows us with the webinars to have an investor mindset all the time, regardless whether you have a property or not as yet. But I would like you to have an investor's mindset. Even if you did not plan to invest in property, you just wanted to have one or two, it's going to rub off and you will eventually be an investor yourself. All right, let's go to the markets. Please allow me to share the screen as we start. I just want to catch the presentation properly. There it is. I will do the same screen as last week so that everybody can see the same content that we did last week. I'll start there. Okay, there you are. Aha, you see now. This computer is now cooperating with me. Excellent. All right. We have to interpret the market. Let's go. This slide, by now, I want you to memorize it. I want you to memorize it because it is very important. These are the factors that influence the market. Interest rate, lockdown, or trade. In general, lockdown is only applicable now because of COVID-19. And then the economy. At the time we did the slide, the first time it was expected to contract, which is to shrink. We explained some of these words on the previous webinar. I'll explain them again as we go along. By 7% and globally by 5%. And the other factor that influences the market is an estate agent, which has a serious big influence. Now the markets currently, we touched this on this last week, but I'm going to go through it again. Like I said, you might have missed last week, and I want you to be able to understand it properly. The economy has already decreased by 7.3%, meaning it has contracted by 7.3%. Now, what then that means is when the economy contracts, it means it has shrunk, it has reduced in its growth. Every year you would hear the economists or in the news, everybody talking about the economy is growing, the economy is stagnant, the economy is not growing. Now, it is based on the country's GDP every year to say how much is the economy growing. I gave examples last week, and I had said on average, the ideal economical growth that most countries strive for as minimum, including first world countries, is 6%. In South Africa, when things were good, I'm talking about 4 years ago, perhaps after the recession when we had recovered and things were good, we were growing, the economy was growing every year by 4%, sometimes 5%. In the last year or two, it was growing by only 2%, 2 point something, and so it was not growing that well. Now, when it means I'm putting the shrinking of it into context, meaning it was growing by 2% for a year or two, now it has decreased already this year at the end of July by 7.3% already. It is now expected to can possibly decrease by 10%, which then translates to the setting us behind by those years. If it was growing by, let's say, 3% last year, that means it has set us back by 2 years plus already. It will take us at least 2 years minimum, as it is currently predicted, for us to get back to normal. So that's what it means, and that's how the economy plays. Now, how does it affect? Why is it an important factor that affects the property market? It is because when the economy is not growing, that means jobs are not being created. That means there are no new buyers in terms of the normal, new people that are coming into the market to buy property. Now, it will then result, now that it's decreasing or it's contracting, it will then result in job losses. We've already seen, it, we know it, it's everywhere. Main companies are cutting down jobs. It is still going to happen. Like I said last week, this is the most uncomfortable part about financial planning or about property or learning the markets, that I don't like, because I feel like I'm an economist and now I'm talking about the things that are not so good. I'm generally a positive person, so I don't like talking about what's going to happen. That's not good. But hey, sometimes it has to be done so that somebody can understand and prepare for that time. Okay, now the interest rate as we know it, last week it went down on Thursday. It is now at 7.87%. Beginning of the year, it was 9.75. The repo rate, it is what I explained. I'm going to explain again the difference between interest rate and a repo rate. A repo rate, if you check, mostly when they drop the interest rate, they say they're dropping the repo rate, because the repo rate is the mother of all rates in South Africa. A repo rate, it is the interest rate of what the South African Reserve Bank charges the normal commercial banks or other credit providers. So when the Reserve Bank drops the repo rate, they are only focusing to the credit providers who are their debtors to them, because the banks borrow money against the money that you deposit into the bank. They go and they borrow from the Reserve Bank on that. And the ratio they use to borrow that money is 1:8, meaning if you've deposited 1,000 rand, the bank can borrow from Reserve Bank 8,000 rand against your deposit that you had put at the bank. And that was the previous rate that I understand. Perhaps there's changed recently, I've not checked it now, but that's not really important for today. Now, so the repo rate has dropped. What the Reserve Bank is charging the banks, it is now 3.5%. It was 6.5% at the beginning of the year. It has almost halved from the beginning of the year until now. So the interest rate is what the banks, it's the base or the foundation rate or the guideline rate that the banks charge you and me. So they will then, that's what then we call prime, the prime interest rate. What's the prime interest rate? It is now 7%. So when your bank says to you, we are charging you for your home loan prime plus 2, that means they will charge you 7% plus 2%, which is 9%. When the base rate changes, which is 7%, and it drops to 6%, the banks will still charge you prime, which is 6%, plus 2%, which is now your rate will be 8%. Because that 2% they charge you, it is based on your personal or individual risk analysis that the bank has done on you. So that's why they have to say your base rate is prime plus or prime minus, so that you know when prime changes, how far will your rate change. Now, the next thing, the lockdown, like we said, we're still on lockdown, even though it doesn't really feel like it, because we are almost all back at work. Then it is the trade now, which is extremely active. We've given examples in the past on that. The estate agents are back. They have already seen the activity that is being done by the buyers. The buyers are still going berserk in terms of buying. And this is the bracket 750,000 and below. The buyers are extremely active right now. Simply because of, that is what socioeconomic or what do they call it? Socioeconomic segmentation is based on. It is based on behavior of people in a certain income bracket. So now with socioeconomic studies, that bracket, it is what they call middle and lower income earners. Now, in terms of the segmentation or the segmenting, I don't know if that's right English, by the banks, that bracket is more consumer based most of the time. They are mostly towards spending money. They are the people who will say, my children will never wear anything from Beb and Ackermans, they only wear Edgar's. In general, this is now the studies, of course not, this is a quick disclaimer, it's not from YDT, I'm just educating you so that you know your type of tenants in the future or the people, the market you are entering into. And this is a generalized way. So it's on this basis that the financial providers or the creditors look at when they give money, even when they do marketing. This type of market can be excited easily. So when you pump music too loud and they're buying, then they will most likely continue to buy. They want to spend their deposit. They want to open an account. They want to. So that, and it is also because of the income inequality in the country. So in that market, it is currently extremely active. It is mostly active in general, but it is now currently extremely active. So if you are in that income bracket and you are selling or you are considering to sell a property that you do not want to keep anymore for whatever reason, put it on the market now, it will go. Now, the people whose income bracket is a bit higher or the properties are more, they are holding back a little bit currently to buy, simply because this is your middle management in companies. This is junior middle management. This is business owners. These are people that have got more responsibilities generally. So they then wait and see the market most of the time, because then they think and they plan their things through. So they are not that active right now, meaning for you as an estate agent or a person who's looking to buy in that bracket market, those properties are still going cheaper. 1 million upwards, the higher you go, the cheaper you will get the property at this point in time if the seller is motivated enough to sell, simply because there is not that much activity in that bracket. So, and in terms of selling and buying, but as well as buyers in that bracket are not that much. So if you are in that bracket and you want to sell, not necessarily the best time to sell. Okay, now the estate agents are back. They are controlling and managing everything in between. That is why some of these things I'm saying will not be obvious, because the estate agents are so good in South Africa. It's actually, I'm still continuing with the study and research. I think they are one of the best in the world, according to me, in terms of controlling the market, because the buyers and the sellers don't get to study the market on their own, because the estate agents are that good in South Africa in controlling the market properly. In other countries, first world countries, it is much more open, it is, you understand, but in South Africa, the estate agents are actually the biggest role players. So you need them on your side, as opposed to what everybody's saying. You don't want an agent to use an agent. You need them so that they can understand and know, but you need to know that agent is on your side at least. Okay, now the banks are fighting over people to get the bonds through. So if you're a good buyer right now, meaning good credit score and whatnot, it is the best time, because the banks are going to fight for you. We've seen it in YDT home loans. When we have done bond originations, we've negotiated back and forth 3-4 times with just 2-3 banks, and the rate has dropped, some of them by 2 or 3%, even less from the initial approved rate, because the banks are fighting. Okay, it's still anybody's market. The buyers have an upper hand. The buyers need to be more educated. We said it previously as well. Mostly right now, you need to be way ahead as the buyer, and you need to know. And I will reiterate what I said last week. Google is not enough in this market, because it is changing. So if you are the person who normally thinks, ish, I've got it, I know, I'm just going to Google and I'm going to sound like an expert, not going to fly. So you also need a person that knows what they're talking about, mostly during this time, because we are in between, should I say, seasons. We're in between phases. We're in between certain things, and we are in the middle of a crisis that is unprecedented. So you need somebody that is experienced right now to help you navigate these times, plan for the future, offload some overload cargo if you need to, so that you can put the things that you need on board that are lighter to carry, that are going to carry you through to the future. So you need the best around you right now. Of course, we are there for you at YDT. Again, for you to know and remember, a day one asset, it is an asset or is a property that makes you income from day one, or profit. Meaning, how are you going to make profit if you're not selling? You anticipate that when you're buying that property to say, if I were to sell, will I make profit from the first? If I were to sell tomorrow, as I'm buying today, will I make profit? Is it the right purchase? That is a combination of all the other points and more. Is it in the right location? Is it the right price that I'm buying this property for? Now, I would recommend that you don't only look if it is the market value. Push to see if you can go below market value. Like I said previously, generally the amount that I would say would be to say 10% below market value on normal markets, so that you can be able to absorb in that 10% gap the legal costs that you're going to incur in obtaining or purchasing this property. Now, in this market, I would then say go as low as possibly you can in purchasing it, because you might need to offload it at some point, and you want to be at the right position, the right way, and the right time to offload it when the time comes and you want to offload it. Okay. Now, over to you, Tiamo. I'm going to stop the sharing so that you can take the questions, and I'm going to take us to the next slide after the first round of Q&A. Over to you, madam.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Dlali. It was a very interesting first half. I like how you always say that whenever we think to buy in future, the first question we must ask ourselves is what are the markets? What is the interest rate currently? I'm looking at our social media. We haven't had any questions as yet. And even here on Zoom, we haven't got any question as yet. However, as we always do, we allow a couple of seconds for someone to raise their hands or for someone to type out in the comment section, as this is the question and answer section. All right, Mr. Dlali, I think for now, we can continue with the presentation. This also allows people to type out their question in the meantime. Please rest assured that there will be another question and answer section after the second half of the presentation. So please keep them coming. I am interacting with you, so don't be shy. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Now we move on to the next round of slides. Okay, now the next round of slides or the main about the main topic today. And this main topic I want to put to rest if we can today. If we can't, I'll do it again. I'm not going to promise it's the last time we're talking about this, but an element that we spoke about previously, and that is an access bond, and how to, we also touched it last time when we were including on how to pay your bond faster. Now, I want us today just to touch on how then do I set myself up for success. And this is to answer and to address the concerns that people have heard previously. Like I said, even last week, I think, we shared that webinar coincidentally when there was a storm on Twitter. People saying that it is a trap, that the interest rates keep dropping because once you are in, then they're going to increase and then you will be trapped in a hole and never be able to get out. And I had said, I agree, but only for consumer-minded people. And these are the type of people that would go and take credit to consume it and not to use it for investment purposes. Consume it meaning they are going to go and take and open a furniture account to buy furniture. So in this, for the purposes of the webinar and also for the future for yourself, a consumer mindset is a mindset that you spend money that you are not going to get anything in return for it. That is a consumption, because you are not going to get anything in return. for that money that you have spent. When you invest, that means then you are going to get a return on the money that you are spending, whether immediately or later. It is going to come back with something else. You are literally sending money to go work for you to bring back results at a later stage, sometimes even immediately. And that's the mindset that I would like us to adopt. So now, having said that, the people who were worried or who are going to be trapped, it's people who are consumer minded. However, how then can you use it to stay ahead as an investor? Because as you know, it's either a glass is half full or half empty, depending on the person who's looking at it. Now, what the banks or the Reserve Bank or the country or the president or government meant for, it is now up to you how to use it. Because it was deliberate, yes. And that's the reason the interest rates are being dropped, to encourage activity, for people to have credit access, to have change in your budget, because now you are paying less than what you are paying previously for whatever credit arrangements that you have. So that's the intention of government. There's no secret about that. They want you to be more active. They want you to buy more so that the economy can remain active. It's the activity of the economy that grows the economy again. So that was the intention. Now, you then as an investor, use exactly that to your advantage, because you are an investor-minded person. Now, you take that credit, you purchase a property, or you build back rooms, which is now one of the cheapest ways for those that have got yards in their properties to increase your income, because there is no cost of land anymore, because you already have the land that of which your current property is sitting on already. So there's no cost of land anymore on when you are building rooms. And it is now much even better to manage that construction process, because you are there. There will be no material losses. There are so many safer things to do, which is what makes building extra or rooms or extra, should I say, rental things in the existing property. Meaning, if you had built phase 1 in your land, now you can build phase 2 if you are already developing bigger. It is one of the best times to do so. Now, you take that credit, you purchase a new property, you buy more property, you do whatever you do to then get access bond on it. Your plan is to, and your aim is to get access bond on it. When you have an access bond is a type of a loan, I'm going to read it quickly, a type of home loan that allows borrowers who have paid extra money into their bond to access the extra money which they need, should they need it for any reason. Now, the money is already there. You created it. It didn't come automatically. You created it. Now you are accessing it to grow your portfolio. Now, in this instance, we are not talking about growth, but you'll see one or two of the slides. I will remind you so that you understand from the previous webinars what it was used for. So now you will take this access bond, you will then keep it there, because remember, you now need to prepare for a time that the interest rates go up. They are going to go up again. Yes, those people that were saying so were correct. They are going to go up at some point. But like I said, this is a window for an investor to move in, so that when that time comes, you are already securely in. You understand? Now, here is the example we previously used, because I like to keep to the same examples so that it makes sense, you remember more, you remember easily in things going forward, so that it makes sense again when you hear it. Now, last time we made an example, we were doing how to pay your bond quicker, and we made an example about this. And if you remember, this was a bond that was 1.2 million, and this is before the interest rate dropped again to 7%. It was 7.25%. So the person would be paying 9,800, and we had said in January for that person they would have paid about 12,000. So now this person has saved over 2,000, depending on the amount. It's close to 3,000 actually. Now, what then you do? because you've got a gap now. Let's say you are this person, you already had the bond. Even if you're going to buy, you can apply this and implement this from the beginning. Now, you are this person, you already had the bond. It was 12,000 or 13,000 prior. You are supposed to pay 9,000. I need that red thing. If you would give me a moment, where is that? The laser thing. Okay, if you, I can't seem to find it. If you can follow the cursor, please follow it up. Now you are paying 9,800. It was 12,000 plus, let's say 13,000. Now you are paying 9,800. If you can, now you pay extra. You are paying extra, meaning you are paying now double. That double goes to increasing your access bond. It's decreasing the amount you owe the bank, but it's increasing the extra money, the savings. But we're going to use the word that is used so that you understand it. The access bond, meaning the amount that is over and above what you are supposed to have paid. So you are creating your savings there. Then you pay extra. Now, if you remember, we had said here, out of the 9,800, 7,700 was the only amount that was going towards, it was going towards the interest. It was only 2,000 that was going towards reducing the bond, meaning the initial home loan. So out of that, this money, my dear brother and sister, is going to the interest in the first few months, years. Only this one is going to reduce the bond. Remember, we had said in this example, the initial bond, the home loan amount was 1.2 million. So you only touched 2,000. The rest has gone to interest. But when you pay double, the whole double amount has gone to reducing the home loan and creating the access bond. Now, here's how you create it or how you build it. Remember now, yeah, I said last week, when you have the low interest rate now, you can fix it. And I said, don't fix it yet, because there is a possible one more drop that might happen. It's possible, not yet confirmed. There is a possible one more drop on the rate. From there, it is going to stay stagnant for a little bit, for a while. Of course, no one can tell these things to the T, how long, but it's going to stay there. Once that time, during that time when the interest rate is staying low, you continue to chase your bond, your home loan. You continue to pay extra to build up your access bond. You are continuing. Let's say they take 6 months in the new thing. They only start in February 2021 to start increasing. February 2021, when they start increasing, then you then go and you fix your bond at the current thing where it is. Because we can fix your interest rate for a maximum of 2 to 3 years on average, that you can fix your interest rate. Let's even take the lowest. Say your bank says, no, we can only allow you to fix it for 2 years. Fix your interest rate for 2 years. When you fix your interest rate for 2 years, that is 2 years from February 2021. So that means then you'll be paying the same interest rate for up until February or end of January 2023. Now, that means from now up until that time, you had 2.5 years to build up your access bond. That's step number one, how to use this. Step number two, during that time, remember when you took this money or when you took that bond, your intention was to create extra income, whether by buying a new property or whether by extending or increasing income in your current and existing property. Now you've got extra income that is already coming, because that's what you're taking the money for. Because you're an investor, you didn't take the money to go buy another flashy car. You took that money to increase income. Now you have extra income. Then you go and pay extra on the bond. But what is more important is that that extra income will serve as a buffer or will serve as a fallback money when your interest rates increase again after 2023. You remember, most we had said you have fixed for 2 years from February 2021 up until 2023. Now you've got time to have this income, see how it works, Make changes if you want to make changes. Fire some tenants if you have to. Get new tenants. Increase more tenants. You have got so much time to play around to maximize this income during these 2.5 years. And you are sure to get to a place where you are sure this income will be there, even when you start to pay more, when now your fixed interest rate expires, where you have to pay like the same amount as everybody else. And we are now, should I say, predicting or rather planning as if during that time the interest rate will be now back at 10% or even higher during these 2 years. That means then you now, after that time, without even extra access bond or anything, without even paying money extra from your pocket, by just paying what is expected from the bank, the income that you are receiving will cover what is expected from the bank. You have created that so that when that time comes, you are able in 2023 to pay your bond normally. But between now and then, you are continuing to build up your access bond, creating yourself some extra savings, creating yourself some breathing space, creating yourself some many things that you can do with that money. But you know already now, today, in 2020 or 2021, when your fixed interest rate starts, you already have enough money that is going to pay them. Now, a third factor that you see, I'm just today just trying to show you how you can use this to turn what is called compounding interest in your favor. Compounding interest is an interest upon interest when you've got credit or when you've got debt. So that is why it takes longer to pay a home loan, because there was interest upon interest. That is why you will end up paying a personal loan more than or double the amount after 5 years than you took at the beginning, because interest upon interest. So that is called compounding interest. The interest is compounding, but it is working against you. Now, I'm showing you how to use interest in your favor. Now you are using compounding interest in your favor. Third point, remember, these tenants were paying, let's make an example with one tenant, to say one of these tenants was paying a 2,000 rand for a room in your property in 2021. Every 1st of March, you increase the rent by 10%. Now come the 1st of March 2021, 2,000 is no longer 2,000. Remember at the beginning, you had placed this, the income in such a way that even if the interest rate were to increase tomorrow, you'll be able to cover it already upfront. So when the rent income increases, it then also works in your favor. So now, in this 2.5 years, you're getting, you're increasing your access bond, you're paying extra. In these 2.5 years, you have fixed your interest. That means then you are paying less than everyone else. They will be crying, you will not be. Now, in this 2.5 years, you will be increasing your rental income, because it's bound to increase every year. Everybody knows rent increases every year by 10% on average. So the 2,000 rent that you're getting this year, next year, it is 2,200 compounding interest. But on the 2022, it's no longer increasing only by 200. It's 10% of 2,200, meaning 220. 2023, by that time, your rent has increased double also, meaning you are again ahead of the normal interest rate that is there, still using this time to access the money that the bank can give you for you to increase your income. I can go on and on and on, meaning then you would have set yourself up come 2023, you would have set yourself up ahead by at least 2 years or 2.5 years than everybody else ahead. Now, this is before you do this. You remember this. You remember this when we had said, if you had an access bond on property one, you go take a bond to buy the next property cash, increases the income. What I just explained was just before you even do this. You had not even done this. What I just explained. It was just with one property during this time. Now you do that by increasing the properties and increasing income and increasing this. By the end, when your interest rates are back to normal, you have killed during this time. Excuse the violent language. During this time, you would have bought so many properties. And remember, when the market drops, which we had spoke about last week, which they are going to drop at some point. I'm almost done. I'm sorry, I'm looking at your time. I'm just so excited. I'm having fun about this. It really is a serious eye-opener that people don't share and they'll never share. So now, when the markets crash or drop even further, because I had said last week that right now people are operating on knee-jerk, meaning people are just operating on reaction. We were closed, now it's open, so let me fight for a business not to be closed. Let me work as hard so that I can create more income. There's going to come a time where the economy will be not so good that whatever you do might not be good enough at that time to try and make the same money you are making. Now, that will then mean, of course, the market drops, everything becomes worse, properties sell for next to peanuts. To get an idea, think the previous global recession, 2008 to 2010, yes. So the properties will be cheaper, meaning when it's time for you to do this, move from property 1, property 2, property 3, all this will happen while you are still within that period of fixing your interest rates. So you'll be accumulating your property, buying them even for less, but still getting even higher income. I'm going to stop here, Sam. You see, that's why at the beginning I did not want to promise it's the last time we're touching on this. So we really then are going to touch it again, but I wanted to touch it on it specifically today for people to understand. But now that everybody has got a picture and an idea, I'm not saying we're going to touch it next week, but we'll touch it again when then I get to even show it in figures and in things for everybody to understand properly how it is. I am done for today. Thank you.
Mic drop. All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Dali. Sure, I've taken so many notes, especially with regards to excess bond. And that is something that I personally didn't know previously. And I remember even when you mentioned it in passing with our previous webinar, I think it was about 3 weeks or last month, a lot of people were saying, sure, we didn't know that I could repurpose my excess bond. So it's really, really awesome because you did promise then that you will talk about it. And now we are here unpacking it further. So thank you for that, Mr. Yapela.
Thank you. Thank you. Are there any questions?
Not yet. I've been looking at our social media. People are watching. So I want to send a shout out to you there for watching on our Facebook. I also want to send a shout out to you who is watching on our Instagram. You are most welcome. Okay, I see here on Zoom there are comments coming. I actually have noted as well on Facebook page that there is a comment there on the live video. So I'm going to go ahead and read it. This question is from Gwinyai. Gwinyai is asking, do banks give you interest on money that you would have deposited into an excess bond?
Okay.
Did you get that, Mr. Tlali?
Mr. Gwinyai is Mr. Mos, right? If I understand Mr. Gwinyai's question is that, do you basically earn interest on money that is sitting on an excess bond? It is not automatic. Yes. In general, it is not automatic. Because remember, an excess bond is an overflow account that the banks create. So it's not automatic, but you can set it for it to do so. If then you wanted to do that, then you can always withdraw it and put it in a place where it's going to earn interest. Now, at this point in time, which is another very good point, you see, those are the points I did not even touch on, Mr. Kunyanya, when I was saying, I'm only ending at 3 points up as to how this compounding interest can work for you. You understand? So it can earn interest if you set it up like that, or if you talk to the banker to link it to an investment account, your investment account, which is an interest-bearing account, basically, that they can link it to. So yes, it can, but it's not automatic. And these are the things that the banks will not tell you. To say, no, we set it to make interest. Because no, when it's there, they can go borrow against it. They can do whatever they want against it, but they won't tell you that make it have interest automatically. So you have to be deliberate about those things. That's a very good question, sir. And I hope I've answered it properly. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. I totally agree. It is a very good question. So Gunyai says he's listening, and now I'm just gonna check if he's satisfied or does he have any follow-up question. Mr. Gunyai, are you satisfied, sir? All right. In the meantime, as Mr. Gunyai responds, I just want to tell you, even there on Facebook, if you're watching with Gunyai, please feel free to send out your question right now. We have a question, actually, it's more of a comment here on our Zoom. And Mayor Meta is saying, thank you so much for making us wiser and richer.
Oh, yes. Thank you. It's only a pleasure. That's the point. Our
I like
mission
that
right
one.
is creating wealth, building legacies. That's it.
The legacies. Awesome. Right, we have another comment here on Zoom from Siabonga. Siabonga is saying, thanks YDT Group. As an estate agent, I am empowered, especially on the financial side of things, because we push sales.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Yabela, did you get that?
Yes, I did. I got it. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Look,
Yes.
just as an extra comment on that, for Mr. Siabonga and anyone else who will get to watch this video that is an estate agent, now is the time that the buyers are aware of the changes. So the buyers will trust you more when you really advise them and help them. Than for sales. Buyers, even everywhere, I've even seen it now, even at furniture shops, at general retail shops, the buyers are now more educated. They can tell this one is just Ushawi hit and run. They are just selling and continuing so that they can earn their commission. And as a result, such buyers will not come back, and it prohibits repeat sales from there, you understand? So it's a great point. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you again, Siabonga. And back to our Facebook, we have Mr. Gunyai who said, thank you very much. He is satisfied. And I see also here on our Zoom, if we can move back here quickly. Ntiki is saying, thank you, YDT Group. This is very informative.
All right, thank you. Let me check on Instagram while we are checking everywhere else. If there was
yes, please.
Anyone that communicated on this side. I am not seeing comments unless they've been up and there, but even though there are people watching, I am not seeing anything in terms of from everybody else. Yes, so I will leave it at that for Instagram. You can just...
Mr. Dali?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I wanted to go back to the shout out that we spoke about at the beginning of this video, if you can remember. Yes. So the shout out was special shout out to Lesedi FM, because they had you in their Monanti breakfast show on Wednesday morning. So we really want to thank them for that. Another shout out to Twasa and Batukada, as they are the hosts of that show. And the other shout out was to everyone who responded after listening to you on Lesedi FM. I was just telling the people who had joined us at the beginning of this webinar that we have been so busy this week in a very good way. We've had an influx of people wanting to find out more, people saying, please help us. We heard from the radio that are able to help us, as Mem Mieta said, help us buy a house, help us be richer in terms of investing in property, help us even with credit record rehabilitations so that they can come to a point where they now can afford to have a house in their name. So shout out to all of you. Thank you so much. Please keep connecting with us. Please keep reaching out. We are here. We are willing to help you.
All right, on that, I think it will be my last comment on my side then before you close. I just want to also thank you, the people that did tune in on radio. YouTube people are continuing to watch on YouTube, and reassure everybody, because the question that was coming more and more to me personally was that, can you help me? I am in Sebokeng. Can you help me? I am in different parts of the world that they were listening to. And sometimes, of course, we have been on Mhlaba. We recently was on SABC2 on Kizaka. So people are asking everywhere, can we do it? Yes, we can assist you regardless of where you are in the country. It is 2020. We can be able to assist you anywhere in the country. We are currently upgrading our website. By this time next week, when the webinar goes live, you will have a new website that can interact with you as well from wherever you are. And we will introduce more products as time goes by to even help people buy properties easier on their own where they are. We will just be advising them online. They just follow guidelines that we are going to do. We are going to get Black people owning properties in big numbers and living serious big wealth behind as well. Whether the government approves the amendments of the Constitution or not, we will not wait for that. We will empower people until they do it themselves and create wealth and build legacies for generations to come. We're going biblical to the 5th generation. Hey, thank you. That's it from my side.
Sure, Mr. Lally, you have me singing amens and hallelujahs today. Indeed, it is time that we make our own way. It is time that we forge through, and whatever loophole is there to find, we will find it, and we will definitely help you in this webinar to use that loophole. So thank you very much, Mr. Lally. You've really taught us a lot. You've really opened our eyes, and we are really thankful because other people were asking us, why are we not charging for these webinars? Other people were agreeing that this is worth a lot of money. This information that is being shared here is worth a lot of money. But we continue to do it for free because it really is a pleasure. We do, as Mr. Lally just said, want to help you accumulate, create wealth and build legacies. That is the motto here at YDT Group, creating wealth, building legacies. With that, I just want to close today's webinar. The time is now 13:28. I want to thank everyone. We also have Nokolo on Facebook saying thank you very much, YDT Group. We are truly grateful for these webinars. And we have here Ikona on our Zoom saying, thank you, I am going to marinate on this. Yes, Ikona, definitely. We also have Bongi here on Zoom saying, thank you, Meneer. I'll catch the start on YouTube. Yes, please, which reminds me, we keep loading these webinars every week on our YouTube page. So if you've missed any previous webinars, because it has been more than 2 months now that we've been having these webinars, if you've missed any and would like to catch up, please go to our YouTube. I've left the link here on our comment section on Zoom. I've also left the links there on Facebook and also on Instagram. Just please check out our bio. The link to our YouTube channel is right there, even on Twitter. Thank you very much.
Bye.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. With that, goodbye. Bye-bye. Thank you. Hi, Chiku. Hi, Chiku. Hi. Good to see you, sir. Bye-bye, everyone.
Yes, Mr. I see people.
Ms. Tansiki. It's good to see you guys. It's really great to see your faces. Have a great weekend, everyone. Hi, Mr. Siabonga. Thank you for joining us, sir.